Super Rugby Aotearoa has not had any games go to golden point time until this weekend just gone, when both of the bloody things did. What are the odds of that, man? 26-23 Chiefs over the Highlanders away, and the Crusaders also need bonus point time to sneak one over the Hurricanes. So yeah, interesting games. We'll go over the stats and how things went down, and you guys can let me know your thoughts on the games as well. We will start with the first one, which was the Chiefs and the Highlanders. It was a hard one to kind of predict how this one was going to go. I think the odds weren't too heavily either way. Maybe the Highlanders at home, but the Chiefs were coming off a good win as well. Whether the Highlanders were going to be able to back up after a big performance over the Crusaders was questionable. Mitch Hunt didn't have his kicking boots on, which is pretty unfortunate for them considering how close this scoreline was. And Mitch Hunt probably, he had a phenomenal effort against the Crusaders, and he didn't back it up that much in terms of the game against the Chiefs. He missed the penalty on 2 minutes, and the Chiefs are actually the ones that go down the other end on 5 minutes, and Nana Satoro gets a hell of a try. Very athletic finish, but it's kind of what you expect from wingers these days, to have their whole body airborne and then above the lines and just dotting the ball down with the one hand. TMO had to check it, but it was all good. And Damian McKenzie's smile before he took the conversion from the sideline kind of told you he was going to get it, and sure enough he did. So great try, but the Highlanders weren't to be outdone in terms of great tries. A great loose forwards try from Lynchus. He goes blindside, and he adds a dummy in to that move as well to go over. But again, kicking boots not there. Missed the conversion, so it's 7 points to 5 Chiefs in front. Aiden Ross looks to have scored a try. You won't have seen that in the highlights package. They didn't include it. Chiefs going through the phases, some good hands, but when they look back at the aerial contest, it looks like Damian McKenzie has knocked it on, so everything subsequently doesn't count for nothing. So Ross robbed of what would have been a great try. Hunt misses another penalty on 21 minutes. So yeah, he was really struggling to find his accuracy. That one was pretty straightforward, so there was no real excuses for that one. 23 minutes, Parkinson looks to have gone down a bit hurt, which is unfortunate, but he does keep playing. But there's one guy you don't want to be injured in terms of that Highlanders forward pack. It's that guy, because he is such a man mountain. 32 minutes, D-Mac tries to slot a 50-plus meter penalty. He does miss it. It goes wide, but not by that much. And in terms of the goal kicking later on in the game, long shots are going to be important. Maybe that one was a good sider for him. 35 minutes, another penalty miss. 37 minutes, they do a captain's referral. I think it was for a high tackle. The Chiefs referred it, and it was a correct call, so they got to keep the referral for that one. 40 minutes, D-Mac does kick a penalty from a high tackle to make it 10 points to 5. It's not been the greatest of first halves, and I've just rewatched the highlights package to refresh my memory, and of a 6.5 minutes highlights package, virtually none of it's the first half. There's very, very little going on in that first half compared to the second, but the game is still tight, which is what you appreciate. The possession and territory is pretty tight. The run meters has edged it to the Chiefs. Turnovers conceded, though. The Highlanders have had 5-2, which is a bit concerning. The lineouts, the Chiefs one is the one which is a bit misfiring. At halftime, the Highlanders are still 100%. Second half, Highlanders start with a bit of a hiss and a roar. Aaron Smith gets a try. Frizzell beats two guys. He kind of goes through the gap. I'm not sure if he really beats either, but he charges through a gap, and Aaron Smith running a great support line. Missed the conversion again, the Highlanders, so it's 10 points apiece. Chiefs kick a penalty to make it 13-10. Hunt finally nails one to make it 13 points apiece on 56. D-Mac, though, bounces back with another one, so they're trading penalties, 16-13. Ta'avao scores a try on 60 minutes. Great hands and great support lines. There looked to have been a forward pass in the build-up to that one, but I think, if my memory says, I may not have mentioned it, I think the Highlanders have already used their captain's referral, so they can't check it. But yeah, it would have been nice for them to have a little look at that one. 23-13. 69 minutes, Josh Ioane, who's back on the side after sitting for a week. He scores a try. Highlanders maul goes really close. Again, maybe the referee should have looked at how the maul just so happened to collapse 1 metre out from the line, but it doesn't matter because Smith, one crisp pass, or Ioane hits a huge gap and he goes through. So good try for the Highlanders, 23 points to 20, and then they get a penalty about 4 minutes before full time, 23 points apiece. DMAC has a chance to finish the whole thing off in regular time with a long shot. But he misses that one. And he's taken a drop goal attempt prior to that as well. So 2 attempts for DMAC to finish it off. Unable to do so. Second half, Ioane has what is probably one of the better chances to score a drop goal that you'll get. He seems to have enough time and a good position, but he misses it pretty poorly. And they pay the price because ALB wins a turnover penalty, which DMAC is able to slot from just inside halfway. Hell of a kick, and it's a hell of a result for the Chiefs. Possession finishes 53-47. Territory finishes 51-49, so pretty tight. Turnovers conceded is 13-6, so the Highlanders will look back at that, plus the missed penalties, and think, man, what could have been on another day. The individuals, actually Scott Gregory finishes with 3 defenders beaten. Likewise does Nana Saturo for the Chiefs. Brown makes 15 out of 17 tackles. Evans has 8 from 8. Run meters 403 to 373. So yeah, man, it could have really gone either way. Both sides missed a few chances at the posts. Maybe the referees could have spotted a couple of other decisions both ways, but either way, it's the Chiefs who get it done, so congratulations to them. Good away win. The Highlanders face the Blues away at Eden Park this week now, and the Chiefs are at home to the Crusaders. So, yeah, we'll see how that goes. The second game was the Crusaders facing the Hurricanes. Great thing about this game is it's the top team against the bottom team. They had opposite records. What was it? 1-4 and 4-1. And yet it still goes to extra time. That's a good thing about the competition in that it's legit anyone can beat anyone. Now, the Crusaders have lost one and gone very close in 2 weeks. So they are looking not miles ahead of everyone else. But they kind of have been their own worst enemies, and we'll get to some of that in a minute with some of the stats. But anyway, the crowd looked pretty decent. Probably the best crowd Wellington's seen this Super Rugby season. Sunday afternoon game. Maybe that was part of the reason. I was a bit surprised because they're the bottom team and then they're facing the top team. So a lot of fans may have thought we're going to get a hiding. So why bother going? But nah, good for some people to get out there. I think they were doing a deal with kids. If you buy an adult ticket, you get to take a kid. That's always a good deal for an afternoon game. 3 minutes, Geordie tries to take a long penalty, but it's wide. And again, that'll become a theme later on in the game. Second chance from a bit closer though, a lot closer, doesn't miss it. So 3-0 to the Hurricanes early, but Bridge gets the first try of the game for the Crusaders. It looked like he might have been held up, but they were able to see just the ball being grounded for the Crusaders. So 3 points to 7, they go in front. Unfortunately, HIGvCHI gets injured pretty early on, before about 20 minutes, and he has to go off. So they bring Fainganuku on rather than McLeod. So yeah, interesting choice, that one. And we see a appropriate captain's referral on 21 minutes. David Havili's neck roll on Geordie Barrett sees a penalty reversal. So that's kind of what that captain's referral is there for. That being said, it's the Crusaders who score next, and it's George Bridge again. They just had numbers out on the left, man. And they checked the forward pass for that one, and they said that one was all good. And unfortunately for the Crusaders, Moody goes off as well. So they're kind of dropping like flies at that point. But they are in front 14-3, looking pretty comfortable. That being said, the Hurricanes hit immediately back. They go 10 phases. Laumape gets a try. He stabs Bauer, as he should be doing. Coles is involved in the build-up as well. Some good hands in the try build-up as well, because not all the passes were to the chest. Some of them around the knees. Good guys, showing some good skills. So 10 points to 14, they're still behind. Hurricanes make you shake your head because they concede a penalty straight from the restart, and it's suddenly 17 points to 10. But then the Crusaders are shaking their heads because they can't take the ball from the restart. They fluff their lines, and Blackwell pounces on it. He gets it to Julian Savia, who will not score that many easier tries. Straight run to the line for him. And it's 17-17. So both sides, the coaches will not be happy with the way they conceded straight from kickoffs. Just poor execution from both, but equally good for them to punish their opposition for not, securing their ball and getting a good exit going. The Hurricanes do get held up right before halftime. They go about 8 phases, but then the Crusaders do their own captain's challenge for a bit of foul play. Nani Laumape, a bit of forearm into the throat of Scott Barrett. And it takes them ages to find the footage, which is one weakness of the system, I guess, if it's going to go back quite far. It took them a good, I want to say 2 minutes, maybe a minute and a half. Doesn't sound like that long, but you sit there and count a minute and a half while however many people in the crowd and how many people watching at home are waiting. It's a long time. It's too long, but the call is a correct one, so it's an unnecessary one from Laumape. He gets yellow carded. And that's pretty much halftime with the Crusaders, knowing that they'll start the second half with an extra man for about 10 minutes. So, yeah, halftime possession is 57-43, territory 56-44. So the Hurricanes have actually had the better of those numbers. But you look at the Crusaders, 6 knock-ons to the Hurricanes 1. That was a similar story in their loss to the Highlanders. Their hands just not quite there. That being said, the Crusaders line out 100%. The Hurricanes line out 50%. Dane Coles' throwing was really off the money. But yeah, run meters 264 to 168. So the Crusaders not having as much kind of fun as they have been in a lot of seasons. Second half, the Hurricanes come out of the blocks and Hussein gets a great try. Good little step from him. Steps Moonga, steps Douglas. Some good build-up play. 24 points to 17. Great conversion from Geordie Barrett. And the yellow card, I think it's over. Hurricanes win it 7-0. So the Crusaders, uncrusaded, like not able to capitalise on that one. 56 minutes, Savia, who's been everywhere, wins a turnover. But the Hurricanes then concede a soft penalty for advancing when there's a kick. And they've been policing that one really strictly. So they've got to listen out for the ref screaming at them. He doesn't do it, so it's 24 points to 20. Crusaders back within 4 points. Laumape looks to have scored a try maybe on 58 minutes with HURvCRU maybe not forcing the ball in his own goal, but they check it. He's forced it, no problems there. 60 minutes, Hurricanes kick a penalty to make it 27-20. 63 minutes, the Crusaders go 12 phases. Reese out on the right wing scores a try. They captains challenge it to check for a forward pass, but they ruled that it's fine. I've meant before this video to go check up what the actual wording says. But it's a tough one because I know it's it's not the momentum of the ball that matters. It's whether it comes backwards out of the hands. Do you know what I mean? Like, because guys are running forwards, if you pass the ball while running at speed directly to your side, the ball will inevitably travel forward. That's just the physics of it. There's videos online you can look up for that. And the Blues got burned by one of those decisions earlier. And his hands don't look to directly pass the ball forward. It's a good motion, but the ball to me still looks like it goes forward from the get-go. Like it's supposed to at least start sideways and then kind of drift forward, right? I don't know. I'll need to double check the laws because the hands looked okay, but the ball direction from the get-go looked forward to me. But again, I'm a Blues fan, so excuse the bias. Anyway, 27 points apiece at that point. 71 minutes, I wrote a note. Man, that must be like the second or third Crusaders scrum penalty conceded. Again, the Hurricane scrum's been okay, but extra effort from them. And this week up against a good Crusaders pack, man. Unusual for the Crusaders to be conceding so many penalties there. Right before like maybe 78 minutes, or was it 75? Geordie Barrett calls for like a 60-meter shot at goal, 60 plus. He goes bloody close, but doesn't get it. Moonga attempts a drop goal in 78, but he misses it. And compared with the game earlier where Ioane, McKenzie, now Moonga all missed drop goals, it's maybe a skill that the New Zealand teams need to be working on a wee bit because the success rate for drop goals in favourable positions, pretty average. Full time comes. We go to Golden Point. It's not a long golden point because the Crusaders, I think it's Dunshea, gets a charge down on the new Hurricanes halfback. I forget his name. That puts them in great field position. And HURvCRU does not make a mistake from, 20 plus meters. Great drop goal from him. But yeah, he's the only one who can kick him, apparently. Everyone else fluffed their lines when trying drop goals. So, yeah, unfortunate for the Hurricanes not to exit. They put up a hell of a fight, but the Crusaders still just too good. A little bit concerning with the knock-ons was like 12-3. And the Crusaders don't usually knock the ball on that much. Can you imagine the scoreline if the Crusaders don't knock the ball on 12 times? If it's like 12-6. Not 12-6, 3-6. Yeah, if the Crusaders get things right, and they didn't the week before either, I feel like they're more comfortable than 3-point winners. But anyway, there's no point saying that because the game is what the game is. 52-48 and 51-49, that's the possession. And territories are pretty even, but slightly edged to the Hurricanes. The Hurricanes line-out is shocking. 53%, man. That's poor. The Crusaders actually miss one. They're at 90%, but usually they're a hundy, to be fair. But the Crusaders, yeah, the last 2 weeks have looked beatable, which is a good thing for the competition. But as I said, I'm also concerned that a lot of these are maybe unforced errors or just under pressure errors from the Crusaders. That they are a better team than they've shown us in the last 2 weeks, which would make sense based on their record. Blackwell finishes with 13 from 15 tackles. Cody Taylor has 24 out of 24. He's a machine, and he's in a hell of form. Geordie Barrett finishes with 82 run meters and 2 defenders beaten. Will Jordan has 91 run meters, 3 defenders beaten. Hurricanes have got a bye next week. Crusaders are away to the Chiefs. Penalty count's pretty close. The Chiefs are coming into form, so you never know. Crusaders, if they click, I still think are going to be too good for anybody. But if they don't click, the Hurricanes have shown that, man, you can really push them. So credit to the Hurricanes for putting in a good shift. They have put pressure on to make the Crusaders make errors, so take no credit away from them. But yeah, Crusaders on a day when they weren't firing 100% still managed to find a way to win it, which is what the top teams do. But yeah, 2 extra time games. Very unusual for Super Rugby Aotearoa, but good news for the comp that it's close. And we saw some excitement. But yeah, you guys let me know your thoughts on these ones. Did you reckon both the away teams were good value? Do you think there's some missed chances from the teams that lost, but also the teams that won? But yeah. Anyway, you guys let me know your thoughts, and I'll talk to you again soon. See you later.